Coming up in this episode of the KickCast, a way to upgrade your dumb lights into smart lights, illustrated hadrons, and the water bottle cap gets musical. So sit back and relax. It's time for the KickCast. Hey everybody, it is time for another episode of the KickCast, the podcast where we go out there and tell you if a project is worth backing, tracking, or sacking. I am Ktdata, and joining me is a man who is so cool under pressure, he has to have a minimum sweating quota. The one and only Drew Tyler. How are you doing today, Drew?
Very good, very good. Yes, I've reached that quota like 3 times this year already, so I'm done.
Yeah, exactly. You know, people don't believe me, but when I tell them, like, Drew, he's just so cool under pressure that he has to, like, you know, force himself to sweat, or
yeah, it takes.
You know, I don't think that's healthy if you don't sweat, Drew.
It takes a lot. It takes a lot to get me to sweat. It's true. It's absolutely true.
All right.
How you doing?
I am doing good, and it's a nice warm summer day we're doing today. But
very warm.
Yeah, if you guys have not seen this project or this show before, what Drew and I do is we scour the internets, find 3 projects every 2 weeks, come back and show you if they're cool or not, and discuss.
Yeah, we try and find some really cool ones, and sometimes we stumble across some that we can learn from, and they're all varieties. So I'm excited to share these tonight.
Yep. All right, before we jump into the projects today, how about we jump into some news?
Things are going down.
Yeah. All right. So one of the things we love to do on the KickCast is find you other crowdfunding sites, because you hear the 2 big ones, Indiegogo and Kickstarter. Sometimes you'll hear GoFundMe, but there are others out there.
We found one week where we found that crowdfunded clothes, like manufacturing of clothes.
Mm-hmm. And another one for adult-related items.
Right. I remember that one as well. There are all kinds.
Yeah, there's all kinds. And this one is actually specifically located or aiming for Asia. Ooh, Asia's fun. Because, I mean, that's where all the manufacturing is happening. And this actually barely launched, and it is called CrowdTube.
CrowdTube.
And yeah, so it's their whole mission. I love their mission that they have. It's to empower entrepreneurs in Asia. And right now, they've just barely launched, and you know, Asia's a big place, so they're focusing on Singapore right now. But eventually, they want it to be available to everybody in Asia out there. And what I actually like about this is that they're thinking of the whole thing, and they want to help out startups everywhere, because not only do they do the crowdfunding, they have 2 other ways where they can do it. They also have your crowd voting, where you can put out an idea and people can either upvote it or give some feedback. No rewards or money is exchanged on that. That's just to get the idea and see if there's even a market out there, which some people actually use Kickstarter and Indiegogo for.
Right. I like that.
And the other way is even crowdsourcing. So let's say, okay, I want to make this, but I don't have anybody to make a website or a cool programmer, or I need a good videographer and stuff. What they can do is you can go out and find those contributors that are on CrowdTube, and they can help with different skills or different resources that they have. You might be looking for a 3D printer in Asia, and they're like, oh, I got one, you can come use it. And in return, there's kind of like a point system that you build up, and you get your rep and get well known out on the CrowdTube economy. Right now they have 12 campaigns. I looked through them, and 4 of them are actually previews, which is that's kind of an interesting thing.
Previews, like coming soon.
Yeah,
like look forward to this pre-launch.
Yeah, they're not quite live yet, but you can go in and kind of look at all these different things. And everything is in Singapore dollars, so you got to do a little bit of conversion in there. But I love how that now we're starting to see more localized areas. Kickstarter's slowly growing out to different countries and everything, but this one's like we're focusing on one continent and trying to work Asia out. Yeah. And I think it's backed by a pretty large Singapore telephone company too. So, they got some money, and I like their ideas. I don't know. What do you think about it, Drew?
I can see that there's some money in it, just looking at the site, and it looks like a kind of a slow launch, 12 projects, but hopefully they will grow some. I got to say, I was giggling a little at the name CrowdTube, but I'm not Asian. Maybe that speaks to them. I don't know. I was like, what, really? CrowdTube? But it does look like a solid site, and I think would be really cool, especially if you are into crowdfunding. Every reward that I see that's shippable has this extra $20 or $30 US dollars to ship overseas, and so something that is specific to Asia and that is geared for projects in Asia to to be funded probably and most likely by people in Asia. I think it's fantastic. It's a nice little geocentral target.
Yeah, and I hope to see more of these sites and everything because, Kickstarter's more U.S. based on there
Right.
because most of the sites are like internationals, like they're at $10 to ship out and everything. So this is kind of a good way to get it, and I love how they're trying to push the economy, which is always a good thing, getting people thinking, innovating, and trying things and becoming entrepreneurs, and saying I got this idea, can we make it work, and even help connecting them too. So I think
great.
that's a great idea. So you guys check that out, especially if you're in Asia, because here at the KickCast, we know it's a global audience. So I know there's probably some of you guys out in Asia that are like, hey, this might be a better, more targeted area for me to focus on.
Yes, I'm sure we have an Asian fan base that they tune in just to see your beautiful face.
Lies. They all come watch you, Drew. It's all about the white guy.
The white guy.
All right. So our next piece of news is, this is an interesting thing. I like how Kickstarter does this, is they always put up blog posts where they're interviewing project creators.
Yes.
And it's a great place to kind of get information about things. And this one post that they put up is called The Final Countdown, how projects funded in the last day. So what they did was they actually went out and they interviewed 3 different projects that funded on the last day, and ask them kind of, how are their experiences, how they respond to things and stuff. It's a great article for you guys to read, but there's 2 things that stuck out to me. One is the bathtub graph nature of funding. So you see all these graphs on the screen. They're not really bathtub shaped, but what happens is usually at the beginning, the graph spikes up because that's where people are donating really quick. And then it usually kind of teeters off in terms of funding. And then usually within the last week or so, it spikes up again because people are like, oh crap, I got to back this.
Right. They favored it and they just wait for it to come around and be like, oh yeah, I was going to do that. I had 2 that I missed because I was out of town.
That's why you got to back them right when you
go.
So that's always something to consider. And that's an important thing, is keeping that momentum going, keeping people excited throughout that time and having them still donate. One of the things they were mentioning is like adding more perks in the middle of it. So, the excitement spikes a little bit more and gets people more excited about it halfway through the project instead of, just at the beginning and at the end. And then the other one is, this is a big point that I tell people. A lot of them mentioned they were working hard on that last day on social media and reaching out to friends to donate and telling people to, tell even other people to kind of donate and working on that. Because Kickstarter definitely isn't, a bank or anything where you can just get a loan fairly easily. You gotta, it's a full-time job for a lot of people. And, people are always like, how do I get your name out? I'm like, you gotta have a good following at the beginning, or have something that's going to draw people in very quickly, or at least, be in good areas. I know Bill Duran, the space gun prop guy, the way he started was he was visiting all these different prop building forums and talking to them and building these relationships. And when it came to the time he was going to make his project, he had that community and they were, willing to help him out. And now he's shipping out space guns to people. So,
absolutely.
So always keep that in mind when you're working at it. And that's all the news we have today, Drew.
That's a lot of news.
Yep.
No, I like this. This is fun to read these experiences of people on this last time, just in time funding. Cool.
So keep that in mind. All right. So let's jump into our first project of the night. So I've noticed the trend with things, Drew. I like shiny objects.
You're like a little raccoon.
This is literally the 3rd time I've done a project, I think, in a row about some kind of thing that lights up.
I think you're right.
Yeah. And our first project of the night is the Amberlight.
Amberlight.
And you might be going, what in the world is the Amberlight?
I am actually, because I did not read this.
Yeah. So it's actually a way to turn any dimmable light bulb you have into a smart light. And this is why I liked it. What happens is you take the Amberlight device, which is this little thing right here, screw the business end into the light socket that you have. And then there's also another, so the male business end into the light socket, and then there's another light socket in there where you screw the light bulb actually into it. So, it's sitting in between the actual light socket you have and the light bulb on there. And it's, it has Wi-Fi built in and has Bluetooth built in on there. And then you can control it using your phone. And it's fully, compatible with any dimmable CFLs or LED lights. And since it has Bluetooth, you can automate it with proximity. So say you leave the room and you go out of Bluetooth range, you can program it so the light turns off because it's like, you're not in the room. I'm not going to be on. So it turns off automatically for you. You can also, you can install multiple of them. So it uses kind of this master slave system where one is the one you program with your Wi-Fi information and all the other ones get the information from that. So what happens is you can control more than one light. So if you want to like dim a whole room down, because you have a lady friend over, or you and your wife are trying to get cozy,
or just
you don't even have to get up. You just got to hit a button on your phone.
Kids go to sleep, so start to dim them.
Yeah, and then you can be like, "Hey, how you doing?"
Just interesting
on there, and then you can even, since it's Wi-Fi enabled, you can control this when you're not at home. As long as your internet connection's working, you're good to go.
I could turn lights on and off whenever I wanted to.
Yeah, you could scare your kids, or if you're not at home and you want people to think you're home, you can turn them on and off in your house, and they're like, oh, they're probably home because the lights are turning off irregularly on there. And the one thing that I love though is you can tell if the light's on or off when you're not home. I'll admit it, I am terrible at remembering if I turn the light off or not when I leave the house. So I could use a proximity sensor, or I could just like check, oh, I didn't turn it off. Turn it off now. Lights off. Problem solved. On there. So yeah, I love how I love all these things that take things that were existing. You don't have to replace your entire light bulb system. I mean, because you have the Philip Hues, and I've seen other crowdfunding projects with light bulbs, but all of those require you to replace your existing light bulbs. And so what I do and other people do is just wait until the light bulb burns out, and then all right, then I'll switch on there. This allows you to use your existing set. It also gives you the flexibility of picking whatever light bulb you want, so you're not just limited, because a lot of them you got one light bulb and that's it.
The other thing I think I like about this is that for instance, I just put in can lights last year in my main front room, but I'm not so smart with wiring, so I didn't bother to like wire up a dimmable switch. So I didn't buy dimmable bulbs. So if I wanted to, I could put dimmable bulbs up there with an Amberlight, and I wouldn't have to rewire my wall switch. I could just use the app probably to dim them. I don't have to have a special switch on my whatever plate.
On your wall plate. Yeah, exactly.
Wall plate, right? So that could be that's very cool. I love this idea. I think this is great. It's still seems to be pretty pricey. Like 6 lights in my room would be about what, $250 pledge?
Yeah, but think about it. It's cheaper than the Hue light system.
Yeah, it is.
The Hue light system's like $200 for 2 bulbs.
Yep. So it is.
And what happens when those die? You got to go buy another set of Hue lights.
Another $100 bulb. Yeah.
In this one, you could go buy another, what is it, $10
LED
for a bulb,
CFL.
and you're good.
Yep.
And that's why I love it. It uses the E26, E27 socket, which is the standard socket in most houses on there. So I think it's great.
It sounds good. I mean, they're doing well. They're just about halfway there with another month and a half to go. Lots of backers, lots of comments. They're doing the right things, and it's looking good.
Yeah. So is it a back track or sack for you, Drew?
For me, it's a track. I love the idea. I don't know that I would have to drop a lot to get into it where I want it to be. So for me, it's definitely a track that as it gets closer and as I save more money, maybe I can make it happen.
Yeah, this one's a back for me. Like I said, I love these kind of upgrade kits that you have instead of forcing you to kind of just go all in on a system. So it allows you to work with what you got. The app looks pretty sweet on there. I mean, it doesn't have the LED color changings, but hey, you could get one of those LED lights that change colors, and there you go, voila, done. And I know some people are like, wait, some of those LED change colors have the dimmable things, yeah, but you only have one remote.
Right.
This one you can control all your lights with just one thing instead of having like 5 different remotes. I don't think they even work that way. So like I love this thing. This one's definitely a back for me.
Excellent.
All right, Drew. Before we jump into our next project, I need to get into costume on here.
Do it.
Let me slip this on right here.
I'll wait. I'll wait. Yes.
Yep. Okay.
Yep, it's the true date. It's the 9 to 5 KT.
All right. I feel more official now. All right. So, you're an educator, Drew. You go to school.
I go to school. I teach the school. I be the school.
Yeah. One of the hardest things is giant textbooks, right? Where it's just text after text after
Ah.
text, right? And trying to get your students to read them, it's
Yes.
it's almost impossible.
Yes, and I have no problem with my digital media classes because I wrote the textbooks, or I had the info is mine. But with public speaking and with mass media society and some of those others that I've taught in the comm department, they are thick, and it's like, why do you expect people to read this just because we can? We're the teacher, and if I say you read 80 pages, you have to read 80 pages. No, I still want to make sure that if you are tuning in, that you're getting something out of it. If you were coming to my class and I give you an assignment, I want you to be engaged. So yes, textbooks are the bane.
Yeah, and one of the things that I know as a teacher is that people learn different ways. Some people are good at doing that. Some people are good at listening, and some people are good visual learners. They got to see it. They got to understand. So our next project is for visual learners, and it's for a subject that is near and dear to my heart: chemistry. I mean, Rachel and Jeff were making fun of me earlier, but I'm like, come on, that's the central science.
Like hot chocolate chemistry.
Yeah.
Chemistry.
Yeah. So this project is actually a fully illustrated, easy to understand guide about the foundations of chemistry. It helps especially visual learners that kind of, need to see things to understand it. And it literally covers the basics of chemistry. Some of the things it covers: atomic structure, periodicity, so periodic trends and stuff on the table, why the things are on the table the way they are, forces between atoms, so how the atoms kind of interact with each other, solution chemistry, the gas laws, PV equals nRT. I still remember that. Stoichiometry, how you get those fancy numbers in front of like your H2Os and stuff on there. Reaction rates, my favorite, law of thermodynamics. This is when you blow up stuff and you know why they blow up. Proton and electron exchange, in other words, batteries. And this is probably my least favorite out of them, is naming structures, but that's still important to learn in the world of chemistry on there. Yep. So she's trying to do a book that's fully illustrated in her hand-drawn style that you can see on screen right now,
which is fun, which makes it feel less stuffy and a little bit more active.
Yeah. And it's, in 200, her aim is to do it in 200 pages or less. So I wouldn't say this is a full textbook, but it's a good reference thing that you can go back on there. And yeah, she has some of the cool levels that she has are these t-shirts Winston kind of mentions, where your bosons are giving me a hard on.
A hadron.
Hadron, my mistake.
I think that is hilarious.
Yeah. Or the other one, it says talk nerdy to me, and it's using nitrogen, iridium, and dysprosium. I tend to forget the ones that are above like 30 on there. But so there, yeah. Those are all the fancy made up ones.
Sorry, did you have more? Do you want to carry on?
No, keep going. I could talk about this for hours.
I'm sure you could. So I just have, my questions are, again, as an educator, and I love the teaching aspect. I understand chemistry-ish. I remember taking a class 15 years ago, and I did okay. Interestingly enough, the only thing I remember from that class very well is the naming practices. Like, that's what I remember out of the entire class. But my question is, why a book? Why a hardback book? Why it doesn't? Maybe there will be a digital version, but I just feel like ebooks are much cheaper to develop, to produce, to distribute. I don't know. Maybe I guess I could see where she would want to make this a solid book. But did you read anything in there about that? Did she address that?
Yeah, so I was wondering why there's no e-version. She doesn't really explain why there's no e-version on there, but I kind of understand where she's getting at. I actually looked through her background on her LinkedIn profile. She's worked in numerous research groups doing various things. So the information that she's covered, I'm pretty sure she's well vetted. Also, but she also has experience in teaching and in instruction too. She's taught classes. She's going for I think it's a master's or a doctorate in education.
Soon apply for a PhD program in learning tech.
Yeah,
learning technology.
And I think she's trying to get another PhD in what was it? Pharmaceutical chemistry, which is tough chemistry right there.
Wow.
On there. And so but one of the things is the way that she kind of lays this out. I mean, because I was looking through and was like, how do I get myself one of these? And the level that where you actually get the physical book, you can tell her where her priority is because it says donate a hardcover copy of the printed book to a school or library of your choice. You tell us where to send it, or we can even find one for you. Fully tax deductible and sealed with a hug. So you can see that she totally has the schools in mind more than just the individual persons on there. And
Yeah.
it makes sense why it would be a physical book right now, because some schools may not be able to afford an iPad or some kind of digital learning for their students, or their computers might be outdated on there. So having a physical book is kind of that sure-all way that no matter what school they send it to, they can use.
And I love that she even has one more tier for a little bit more for actual tutoring on Skype and by scientists and adjunct professor to get that person, that loved one of yours, a chance to learn what they need to learn, via somebody. So I like it. I think it's fantastic. I think it would make it an excellent ebook. I think that or even an iBook, and maybe that's something that she's looking at, especially if she's going into possibly this, like she mentions, a PhD in learning technologies. She must also realize that ebooks or iPads or those types of digital assets for teaching are hot and heavy, and people are making them left and right, and students are expecting them a lot. So I'm sure that's probably a second play. I see that she's only got 3 backers at the point, but it looks like it's only about a day old. So let's hope that she revs it up.
Yeah, I guess. Where did she put that? Oh, it might be in the updates. So Winston says, yeah, right here on the horizon, I'm working on the beta version of the textbook out on iTunes via the Apple iBook store. Soon you'll be able to pre-order a copy. There we go.
Cool.
On there. Those are some of the things, that I wish I could tell project creators. Sure, putting it in updates is great, but put it on your homepage too.
Yeah, moving forward too. Yeah,
like I tend not to look at the updates and then I'll forget.
Yep, absolutely.
That's one thing you always want to kind of update your front page for, because you can still update it until the project's over on there. So Drew, is this a backtrack or sack for you?
I think concept wise, everything, again, I don't need to understand the basics of chemistry, but it's a back for me. I mean, this is something that I would get if my kids were a lot older and getting into this stuff. This would be an awesome resource to have. So I love the idea. It's a back for me, and kind of gives me a little desire to launch my own little books on here.
Mine's a back too, because I am for everything that tries to make science more accessible to people, because I understand that some of these ways of learning science doesn't work for everyone. So as the more options, the better. Plus, you can trust me because I'm wearing a lab coat.
Amen.
It's like, I'm legit. Where else would I be able to get a lab coat? If I didn't know what I was doing. They don't just sell these things.
No, you have to work to get a lab coat. Just like when I got my chef's hat.
Exactly.
That has Mickey Mouse on it. You know what I mean?
All right. So let's go to our final project of the night. I don't know if you've ever had this problem before, Drew. But have you ever had problems getting your kids to drink water?
No. I've never had a problem getting them to drink water. They do just fine begging for water when at the most inconvenient times, when I'm, settled in working, or if I'm, yes. All right. Or no, they love water.
Yeah. Or have you ever found that the water bottle caps are just, not exciting enough for you? They're just a cap that keeps things from spilling out.
That's all they are. Functional. Yeah. I wish there was something more to them.
How about we take it to the next level and make the cap play something while you unscrew it and screw it onto the bottle?
Oh, a musical cap?
Yes, the musical cap is our final project tonight.
Tell me more.
And it's pretty straightforward. It's a cap, and when you turn it, it makes sounds, and you screw it onto a water bottle, and that's pretty much it.
Can you play that or no?
Yeah, let me play that and see, so you guys can hear what it sounds like. So here we go.
Yay.
And that's the musical cap. How about you take the lead on this one, Drew?
Well, I gotta say that as a project, we see all kinds. I love to learn from them. The music cap is it's an exciting, I don't know what you'd call this. It's an invention. I'm not sure that it's launched out of necessity by any means, but there are a couple of things that caught my eye on this one. The project itself just seems to be like tossed out there in kind of a quick fashion. The music cap has a proof of concept, which is really cool. But as a project, I thought this would be a great one to learn from. And so, without much disrespect to Roger, I don't even know if he has a last name on here, but this seems like somebody was like, "Oh, hey, I've been working on a little prototype. Let's see what I can do to raise some funds." But there's a couple of things about the project that kind of just struck me as this, big question mark. Do you want to throw the page up there, and we'll see if anybody else can see that visually while I go through?
So yeah, one of the first things, and I mean Winston even saw it.
Yeah, see?
He's asking for $250,000 in Australian dollars, so it's a little less than 250 US dollars, but still that's a lot
for this little project. I mean, this when you talk about the manufacturing or whatever he has to do to get these, what does he call these little tiny metal piano style. I don't know what it's called. This whatever that style is, because he's got like some twinkle things in there, like ting, 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 ting. But to get that for modern or whatever kinds of tunes he wants to make, and he says they could be customizable. That is an option. I just feel like this could have been done at $1,000 range or less. Start with one or two and then go from there. But the fact that he's got two backers at $50 with only 20 days left. Man, I just this is one of those things that I think we can learn from. It feels like the idea was not quite, the proof of concept was there, but the producing of the project to say, here's what my project is going to do to grab people, to explain things, and to make it work. I think that's what maybe got passed up on this one. The unrealistic pledge goal.
I mean, even look at the detail. This is not even a full page of text on
there's typos out, like
he's Australian. They all write in funny letters anyways.
Maybe that's what it is. I just can't read Australian.
But yeah, one of the things that that got me is that this plan he has doesn't seem fully formed. I mean, even on the level right here where you get a first edition cap and with quality water bottle, he puts in there, I'm still sourcing the best bottle I can find for the money, either BPA free or aluminum. That's not something you want to put in there. You want to show confidence that you're going to reach your goal. That's what people are looking for on there. So the plans just don't seem right here. Cause I mean, like you look in his detail, he just puts, the next stage is to design gears that smooth out the quality of music. The sound quality will improve hugely at this point. Then we'll create the specialist tools needed to create lots of these babies. Then we'll build a batch.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't go into detail out into saying, what kind of tools they need or what kind of tooling they go through. And then what even worries me more is like the tune. Contact us and vote for your favorite tune. We'll select the most popular, copyright matters notwithstanding, and we'll use the tune for the batch. Perhaps it should be ready for December. We'll go for a Christmas tune. Like, it just doesn't show me that he has plans on once he raises this much.
Right,
or not.
right.
And
250.
Yeah, I mean, Roger, we're not trying to be mean. We're just kind of giving you a lot of creative criticism on here because it's a little worried. And again, this is back to the updates thing right here.
He's got 5 updates.
He has 5 updates with really, really good screenshots and stuff, but they're not on the front page.
Right. He breaks out the entire thing. And to some level, I say, wow, I think you broke it down too far. Now anybody can take this idea of yours and modify and run with it, because he's got pretty detailed explosive views of these things. But yeah, those should be on the front page. I want to see how this thing works.
Because I didn't even notice those were there until I accidentally clicked on the updates tab.
Yep. And then he does mention the very first update, how it all began. And he mentions briefly on the launch page that you could use this technique to tell the difference between different medications if you were, if you had a hard time seeing. And this actually is kind of the impetus for how this all started. He said, as a researcher for a large health department, some people, clinicians or other people confuse one medication for another. And that he was thinking of an audible way that could remind people of that. So this is interesting. And I think that there's something to be learned from this particular project. His account hasn't backed anything. He hasn't really created anything before. It's not connected to a Facebook or a LinkedIn. Like there's just a lot of missing.
And then there was a guy who posted, or a lady, or a guy or a lady, Helen Marshall, that posted in the comments like 18 hours ago. You should probably respond to this person. Those are going to be your people, especially if you don't have a large community quite yet.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the people who are going to be your ambassadors if you have a good conversation with them and stuff. So
the other thing, of course, we talk about video all the time, and I think while his screenshot for the video, like the thumbnail, is wonderful, it's like 18 seconds of it playing a tune. Which is awesome to see the prototype.
Can I mention that was filmed probably on an iPhone because it's a vertical video?
Yeah, because it's
vertical. This is the major biggest
we both have issues
faux pas you should do with your phone. Never film like this, guys. Always film like this. Sorry, just.
And I think that there could have been a lot more information packed into that launch, and I think a lot of people watch those videos. It's a good portion of your people that find the page are going to watch the video, and they're going to want to see. Yes, they want to see it working, but they're going to want to see a little bit more of the backstory of what your money's going to go to. I mean, he could have shot himself and said, I need $250,000 because I'm actually going to buy the machinery to do this myself. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so for me, it's a sack, but I don't think we sack that many projects. Honestly, we're nice guys. I think that this was a good learning experience.
Yeah. For me, it's a sack too. And Winston, he totally summed it up. It's like cool idea, but the actual implementation of the project is not that efficient.
It's just not set up right. If he would have launched this thing and said, "I'm looking for $500 because I want to make
at least a prototype," step up.
A step up of this prototype,
on there. So, and that is the music cap on there. That is also the end of our show because I am burning up in this lab coat right now. But if you guys are like, wait, where do I go see the music cap? Where do I go see the illustrated chemistry book and stuff? You can just head on over to KickCast, look for episode 46 in the show notes, and you'll have links that take you all the way there, and you can even back it from there. Yep. And if you have any projects you want to let us know about, please leave it. Send us an email, kickcast@ktdata.net, or on Facebook, facebook.com/kickcast, or on Twitter @kickcast, or you can send them straight to Drew and I at night20 for Drew, or at ktdata for me.
Or when I come in and pick up my pearl milk tea from the guys downtown, we just had a whole conversation today about a couple of Kickstarter projects they were thinking about doing for card games that they play.
Yeah.
One of them, I hope to see this soon, but one of them, this is totally a tangent, but one of them, they're doing a freestyle rap style like card game that you kind of can award and penalize players as they freestyle rap different types of topics based on cards and rhyming words. And I'm looking forward to seeing the prototype. Find us, tell us what you're thinking, and we'd love to consult, and we'd love to hear what projects you found.
Yeah. Or, if you want to have input on what you see in the show, but you don't find any cool projects, make sure you pay attention on Tuesday nights before we record on our Facebook and Twitter page. I post up a couple projects, and you guys get to pick the third one. I mean, this time we actually used two projects. We had the illustrated chemistry guide and the music cap as our things, because those were what was voted up. I mean, people passed up on the man comb and, the smart key fob thing.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, on there. So, speaking of when we record, our next episode will be August 5th, 2014. Where has the year gone, Drew?
Where has the summer gone? I'm so saddened by the way summer is gone.
Yeah. Make sure you guys go check that out. Also, if you like watching my box openings, make sure you check out ktdata.net. I have not one, not two, but 3 separate box openings coming this week. I mean, because I got loot crates here that need opening, and I got my Woot birthday bag of crap. It's an explosion Elusa of all things, and
you have a problem.
No, I don't. These boxes just show up in my mailbox, Drew. I don't know what to say. They
just open them.
They just show up, so I got to open them on video because that's what people like. Also, I will be giving away some Andrew Allen Secret Identity CDs pretty soon. Hopefully, I'll have all the details by next episode, and you guys can check that out. Drew, do you got anything to plug?
Boy, I don't know other than the fact that my summer is quickly waning, and Little Big Cast is rocking it. If you're listening live, stay tuned. We're doing a Little Big Cast after this. If you love video games, check us out on Twitter, Little Big Cast with a K. That's the only thing I'll plug.
All right, guys, that's all for now. So we'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye.